There's almost, is that a particular song?
Yeah.
There's
So, oh, that magic feeling, nowhere to go. It's what a Beatles thing.
nice.
This is a nice one.
There's almost sort of a walking bass line thing that I thought you were doing, but no, Beatles, or maybe it was Beatles walking bass line.
Yeah, when he does that thing. Any job got the sack. Monday
Oh,
mornings.
right. Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's a good one.
Get to it. So what's the day in the life of a TikTok star?
Oh Jesus! Ah! It's a terrible thing to do to yourself. Um, yeah, I'm feeling pretty stuck. I got up this morning. I was like, okay, time to get into the ring and do something. And that's not specific enough for me.
Hmm.
I'm figuring out how to make that a little more actionable.
But you made the
Um,
pile. You have a pile. You wrote down stuff on a pile.
I
Inspired
did.
me yesterday to write my pile. Here's my pile.
I I It's good that you reminded me of that because I just didn't even look at my pile. I didn't look at the pile. I
What
gotta
good is
I
a
gotta look at the
pile?
pile.
What good is a pile unlooked at? I think that was Walt Whitman.
It's seize the pile. Throw with.
Walt Whitman, the pirate.
He's kind of a pirate. He was very enthusiastic.
It's true.
I love Walt Whitman. I remember getting all riled up by Walt Whitman at some point when I was 17 years old, and I was trying to convince a couple of friends to get in a van and just cross the country, and we all were quoting Walt Whitman, and
But
we
did you
almost
actually?
did it.
Oh, I see. I see. You were quoting Walt Whitman in advance of getting in the van. You didn't get in the van and start driving and quoting Walt Whitman.
That would have been better, but we did not. We didn't even get a single mile. It was just like this idea we were gonna get loaves of bread and peanut butter, and a guitar, and we would just go around and play outside of grocery stores for enough money for our next loaf of bread and
That's
thing of
good.
peanut butter.
It's very
Never.
erudite 17-year-old conversation.
Yeah, maybe. Probably more due to the
So
other wonderful people.
you've got your pile. The pile says, here's a bunch of creative stuff to do. You forgot about the pile, so then you got up this morning and you're just like, what do I do?
Partially because maybe I feel like I need to yeah, I think that you should not wait for motivation. I've heard that discipline is more important than motivation, but at the same
Hmm.
time, like more, I feel like just like doing more music stuff
Hmm.
is, I need to, I feel the need to mix it up a little bit, and so then I'm back in the world of what
So
the heck
you
am I doing?
mix it up like you're doing too much music and you need to back off, or you need to do more music because you haven't been doing enough.
That's it's a good question. I'm thinking that I need to develop another dimension other than music because all I'm doing is sort of there. Everything's starting to feel similar, and I feel like it needs a little dimensionality. Which, I mean, hey, I got dimensions, so
Right?
I should be easy to
You want
find
you want some
lots of
dimensions?
stuff. I
Um,
got dimensions, but it's just I'm not bringing any of that stuff, so I don't know.
No one
What's it
ever wants
was
to see my dimensions. Let me ask you this. I was wondering about TikTok. The last night, I was musing on the fact that you were becoming a TikTok star and
This
thinking,
hurts.
sorry, sorry, sorry.
You're jinxing me so terribly. Like I've put out one video and gotten 6 views.
Well, for in my in my view, it's like, you're in the game at least. You know what I mean? It's like you're. It's like if you had a cousin that was in like single A baseball, you'd be like, I have a cousin who's a professional baseball player, and your cousin is meanwhile like playing for the Omaha Ducks and is like miserable about how bad his position is. But from the outside, it looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm basically the sitting in on batting practice for the Omaha Ducks. I'm not even on the Omaha Ducks at all.
Right. Well, okay, but here's what I was wondering about. Like, is there what is the North Star best case scenario? Because you could like look at YouTube, and we know that there's like 8 people who actually are making multi-million dollars, and there's probably a bunch of people who are scraping by, but whatever. Like, does TikTok have that same sort of like theoretical career payoff, or is it just a fun space where you could have people that appreciate your art?
I think that there is a potential career payoff. I think from the way people are talking about it, more people it just leads to more discoverability for just the format of it makes it easier for people to just see something without you don't have to click on anything. You just sort of like show me the next thing. Okay, show me the next thing. And so you just get more chances at eyeballs. And so where does that lead? Does that I think actually TikTok does pay people once they get to a certain level.
Similar
And
sort of like ad impression eyeballs, fractions
maybe
of
I don't
pennies.
know how they do it. But then I think also um the idea of the micro audiences, like you find your people, like you're a weirdo and I'm a
Thank
weirdo,
you.
let's be weirdos together. But no, you find your weirdos, like
Yeah.
every and instead of having this monoculture of everybody watches Seinfeld, it's just like everybody is like getting a little bit more specifically who they're interested in watching. And so that as a creator, you find the people that are into your stuff. And then I think the idea is that then probably not after not too much time, you're sort of taking your audience that you found, and then they like you. They want to see what's next, and then
Yeah.
they
They'll
help.
find you in whatever media.
Once they've fallen in love with you.
Well, in a way that's more pure, right? I mean, there's something pathetic, I think, about the idea of like, maybe I'll make a career out of this, but there's something not very opposite of like, maybe this will lead to so many millions that I'll actually get paid enough fractions of a penny that I'll actually be able to, it's so unrealistic in some ways, but except for the very few. But I think there's something more pure from an artistic standpoint about being like, I want to find my weirdos, people who just like what I'm doing, and just sort of that feeds me to put content out, put music or whatever it is out to people who are enjoying it, and to find that audience, and then we'll figure out what goes next. It seems almost more, yeah, artistically. I guess I already said pure, but artistically, but some
Yeah,
word. It seems like some
I,
word.
I I think that that's really true. I think that there's a lot of bad things about social media and people spending time on devices, but I think this is one thing that um, I could probably be talked out of this and convinced that this is all just bad and the devil at work and all that stuff. But there is something about how how monoculture sort of shaves the beautiful edges off of nearly everybody. And this has the potential for everybody letting their freak flags fly and finding their freaks. And but then I think the obvious downside is that a lot of what we define ourselves by is what we aren't, and that could potentially lead to more divisiveness where
Mm-hmm.
people are sort of like, well, we're not like them,
Mm-hmm.
and so we hate them. So there's the downside, but I think that there's something great about finding
Well, I
your
really
tribe.
agree with that. I thought that about just the rise of the internet in general, compared to like when we were in high school. If you were non-mainstream, depending on how far non-mainstream you were, if you really felt different and weird, you were the kids. Like at my high school, there was the kids who sat in the park and they were just weird together, or I mean, at least they had a community. But then there were some people that just really were on their own because they were such weirdos. Um, but the internet makes you able to connect to those weirdos. So if you love more than anything, building Legos, and you're the only, and you're in high school and everyone else has moved on, but you'll find other people now who can build Legos or Rubik's cubes or whatever your particular nerditude is. And that's all been good. I think the thing I didn't really see is that, of course, it also connects the like hateful, terrible people also, instead of shunning them. So we could have, if we could have somehow just turned that dial down to shun the hateful, awful people, but connect the lonely weirdos, then I think we'd be onto something.
No, I mean, I really think that it's a real uh, over the past 50 years, one of the things that mainstream culture has really looked down on is sort of bully culture, and now, but bullies are an identity group too, and they
they,
found each other,
they found each
and
other.
they're like, these people are making me feel bad for being a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, you're not a jerk, you're great.
Right. Or you deserve to be a jerk. You're right. Yeah.
What's wrong with being a jerk? Maybe we're all jerks.
That's true.
Maybe we're being jerks right now. But yeah, no, it's true. But I do think that like sometimes I see this certain type of thing of people that scare me, especially when they find each other. It does seem to be this backlash of bully culture, because
Yeah.
my sense is from the bully culture that they feel that they're being attacked.
Yeah.
They're like, why can't I be me? You don't. It's like freedom of speech, right? I mean, why can't I just say whatever the hell I want? It's just like, but you're being a jerk.
All right. So TikTok good in your life. So is that the main? That's the main outlet right now. That's where you're focused. Your pile is focused on your burgeoning TikTok stardom. I'm sorry. I keep.
It's like you're really trying to make me hate
No. I really admire it. Let me get on record. I admire that you're doing it.
I'm still at
the
the point.
jump intuitiveness. It's like jumping into the swimming hole. You've jumped in the swimming hole. To heck with it.
Well, but it seems I find it hard to say TikTok.
Oh yeah. You were saying that, yeah.
To this, because it's like if somebody's just like, what are you working on? It's just like the last detail that I would hope to leave off is that it's for TikTok. But
why is that?
This maybe it's something to do with it. It has a reputation, I think, for being for kids.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then but I mean, a lot of people that I see on TikTok aren't kids. They're enough like me to make me feel like. But I think the general perception is, it's for kids. It's a silly thing. But I actually think that makes it a smarter place to be, because it's like these hurdles that get put up in front of a thing will cut down the competition a certain amount.
Right.
And so if 80% of people like me, or maybe it's 95% of people like me would be like, I'm not going to do TikTok because why? Because it's TikTok. That's not a thing that people like me do. So then I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll get a head start, because this is not going away. This is in 5 years. It's going to be like, it was an obvious smart thing to do. I think people felt the same thing about YouTube. YouTube was around, and I could have done stuff there, and was very hesitant because I was like, well, that's not for people like me.
You're talking about my whole life and career in creative stuff. It was like, I don't think that's for me. And then, God, I wish I had done that 5 years ago.
It's because they named it, I mean, even TikTok seemed silly. At the time, YouTube seemed silly. I mean, it's just like, YouTube.
Yeah, but if you knew then what you knew now, you could have built the kingdoms, right? And that's the truth.
Totally.
But then I've seen people jump on early, I think, with that exact. You don't know. If you knew where to place the bets, everyone would be rich and fabulous, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. Because I've seen, like, what was the Google social network? I can't even remember. Google Plus. Yeah, there was a Google Plus, like in the early days of Facebook. Then Google was like, we're doing ours, and they made Google Plus. And I remember someone who like really made his bet on Google Plus. He's like, we're gonna get. I remember him saying, I'm gonna get there. He's like, it's early right now. It's gold rush.
It's gold rush.
Turned out not to be actual gold,
but it's also
and
easy to
actually a rush.
Yeah, but it's easy to laugh at that, right? But but at least he's in the water.
And really, probably the skills that you get, just getting used to putting yourself on camera, seeing yourself, being like, I watched the video that we did, and I was just like, my hair And my hair. That's why I wanted to wear a hat, but then I have my damn headphones.
Looks good. The headphones are blowing it back. This is
I know.
perfect.
I'm like holding it back. I wouldn't call it perfect, but thank you.
Hold back. Hold.
I'm doing the best I can, Captain.
So we went camping for a few days, and I just had this funny image that cracked me up by myself of putting on deodorant on day 3, and the deodorant being like, "You're asking too much."
I'm giving it all I got. You're asking too much. Your expectations are unreasonable. It's really.
What do you want from me?
What do you want from me? This isn't just bad for you. It's bad for my reputation.
Yeah, totally. Word will get out. Oh, man.
Or it's just tapping out. It's just like, you got me. Usually I feel like I'm up to the challenge, but okay, you win. That was good. Good work. Me against you, you win.
Well, man, I feel like you're in the game and you're splashing around, and that you're in the swimming hole. You're in the game and you're playing, or you're in the swimming hole and you're splashing around. And there's credit to begin. But this whole thing about like in being slightly embarrassed to utter TikTok, well, it reminds me of, so we just took the kids last night to see Hamilton. We didn't know whether we were going to do it because Delta variant is spiking, but they were masking everyone, and they made you show your vaccine card on the way in or your negative PCR test. It was kind of interesting. So we did it, and like, you know, I've seen it before in person. I've seen it on video, and each time it blows my mind. But then you think, okay, I know how amazing this is, and it still blew my mind. It's just so mind-blowing. And it sent me in a similar sort of space of it's one, it's inspiring. And two, there's this sort of, it drives me to be like, I got to create. And I'm sure a zillion people have had this sort of same thing. And there's part of me that like has the delusionalness to sort of think like, I've got a similar mix of, you know, like, I could have been, or like I could do something. And then there's also part of me that's like, it's so genius. It's so out of your level. I mean, just my level, just general human person level. It's so next level, it's like 6 next levels that it just also makes you sort of be like, well, I don't even have any business saying that I'm in the same, well, which is true, but like, trying to do anything anymore. Like, well, okay, I'm in my 40s and I miss my window. There's such a it's like inspiring and defeating in the same breath.
Yeah, but I don't think it should be. I really I think you're totally right, and except for it being 6 levels separate, it's probably more like 50 levels separate. But so no, I think this is a really important where I'm going with this, if I can get there.
Okay, let's hope.
No, there's 2 unbelievable things. One is how many iterations you have to go through before you're playing at that level. I mean, it's not 6 levels, it is 50, it might be 150. But what is, I think, unbelievable, or I believe this and I don't know why. I could just be like smelling the Kool-Aid of the Gary V industrial complex or whatever, but the you actually, by getting in the game, just starting with something and then seeing it and improving, and it's just like, I mean, I think it's really similar to our work. You can't imagine how far you can go if you actually start. Like, levels will start to fall, and you'll get to the point where you'll see your earlier work and you'll be like, oh my God, it's like, why did I do it that way? And there's so much to learn, but the upside is our capacity to learn is way beyond what we think is.
That's really cool, and it actually is very helpful, because that's part of what was mixing me up in the defeatist half. You've got the inspiration of just like, you gotta, like, I remember seeing,
get in the ring.
Yeah, my daughter got the book, the libretto. Is that what you call it? The book like shows all of Hamilton, the lyrics, and Lin-Manuel Miranda will sort of notate some. And there's a part where Hamilton early on, I think in the first song, "I'm Not Throwing Away My Shot," he'll be like, "I imagine." I can't even quote the words, but he's like he imagines death, like he really feels like he's going to run out of time constantly. Like he imagines death like it's I can't remember the words, but he just has a sense of like urgency to like work to like get something out before his time on Earth is done. And he said, Lin-Manuel Miranda said that's the most sort of autobiographical part that he wrote, that he really has that same feeling. And I was like, well, that might be the key difference here is I don't have that urgency. But part of watching it and getting that feeling of inspiration is that sense of urgency of like, okay, I got to do something before while I have the chance. You know, I have to I have to be able to do the work, whatever the thing is going to be. I got to do it. But then there's also this sort of like, man, all the projects that I have on my list are so simple compared to that like amazing work of genius. So there is this sort of weird comparison that you do of like, well, I was just trying to do this little podcast and that little like song and whatever. And so it is helpful to think about like get in the game at level 1, obviously. And then the levels start to sort of, you know, multiply on each other, but you don't have to jump in the game at level 50.
Yeah.
This all sounds very obvious when I say it like this, but it still is like, and it's part of what just messes up your brain is you just, you know, you see this and it's inspiring and it's also just like overwhelmingly defeating because like watching Hamilton for me is just, it was just an amazing experience. And it also is just, every time I've seen it, it just triggers this whole hurricane of stuff in my own brain related to myself. And I feel some shame around that, but I also just feel like that's.
I don't think everybody feels that way. I think some people do. I think creators do. I don't think I felt that when I didn't actually get through. I tried to watch the TV version of Hamilton. I didn't quite get through it.
Well.
No. I know it sounds terrible. I mean, I got. It was mostly a time thing. The kids were going to bed, and then we were going to finish watching it, Katrina and I. And we just it's really her fault because I can't watch it without her, and she never wants to watch TV. So it's like, right. You know, and then other things come. So but you watch it enough, I can understand that this is a genius work of massive, just lots of brilliance.
Yeah.
So anyway, shit, where was I going with that? The point is,
well, I was saying that it creates this hurricane in my own.
Oh yeah. And different people get hurricanes from different things. Like, and I read that somewhere that when these are clues, this is how our, you know, there is that voice in the core of our being that knows who we really are and what we were really capable of. And there's all this evidence to the contrary. There's all the evidence in the world that we're small, pathetic, really limited. It's like, oh, well, you're a little bit good at this, do this, it's humble, and you know, you'll scrape by. But there's this other voice that knows that you're just like this, like if you can harness the true power. So, and when and these, we all get presented with certain things in life, and one of them is seeing something similar to what we really are. And it does exactly how you described it. Like your brain is in this flurry. Like a lot of people are just going, wow, great lyrics. Some people are being like, I want to learn how to dance like that, or like I want to learn how to sing like that. People are lighting up in different ways. That is something is touching your magic crystal.
Well, really, man, it's amazing to hear you say that. It's really how it feels, but it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
for it to
because
be
you're like, how dare I?
Yeah,
but that's the rest. That's the rest of your whole programming that's been given to us by every single thing in our lives that's saying, no.
Yeah,
not because it's exhausting to our teachers and our parents to really harness the unbelievable shininess of our true power. So we're constantly told as kids growing up everywhere, it's just like, bring it in.
Yeah.
Make it smaller. and we internalize that, and so then and it's just like you're great, but you're not that great.
Right. Right.
But like, but
Just
the true part of yourself knows that you really are that, and and
yeah.
and you should follow that.
That's amazing to hear. Yeah, it's so embarrassing. It's embarrassing because I'm like this. I could have. This is me. This is what I. Like I had fragments of all of this. I had idea. And I.
What do you mean had? You're in your 40s. For fuck's sake, you've got 40 more years of good brain. What is? It's not like you're an athlete. You're gonna break your knee writing songs.
But I guess that's also part of that other programming, which is like if you were gonna do it, you would have done it in your 20s or in your 30s or something.
Bullshit. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't stand up to any scrutiny. Scrutiny?
It doesn't even stand up to scrutiny. That's my uncle. My uncle Scrutiny.
He doesn't. Yeah,
He'll take that down in 1 second.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate it. This is good for my soul to even hear this. It is like that. It is that balance of trying to harness the inspiration and then have the audacity, or that's not audacity. It's just like somehow muster the courage to be like, no, really, I could, like it. That is.
You know what you need to muster? You need to muster humility. Ironically, the humility to be at level 1. That's what, to sort of put your perfection, to sort of like calm down your perfectionism a little bit so that you can get in the game, because it is embarrassing to like know, like, I'm the greatest hitter in the world, and you go and you're like, shh, you can't even hit of the bat. You're like, maybe I'm not the best batter in the world.
Right.
But like to recognize that like
gap that Ira Glass talks about.
Yeah. Start humble.
Yeah.
Listen to this, what inspires you.
Yeah. Amen. Well, so I should write Hamilton. Great.
Next stop, write a Broadway musical.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah. All right.
So to it then.
Good luck on your next steps. Keep swimming. Wait, so just grab your pile. Next time.
Thank you for reminding me about my pile.
Will that do it? Will that?
I haven't seen it for some reason. I do have a bunch of things on my pile that I'm looking at right now, being like, no, that sucks. It's a bad idea. Bad idea.
Does that mean maybe you should just rewrite your pile so it's not a downward energied thing, or B, does it mean just grab something off your pile even if it seems like a bad idea?
Okay, can I just say one thing? Ask one
Please.
question, because this helps with the pile thing. It's that I feel like the two things that have got the most sort of, and it's very humble little bit
buzz,
so,
yeah.
Not to overplay it, but I wouldn't call it buzz, but like the most little bit of love from strangers has been the love letter to myself, which is funny. It's just like it's like sort of a Flight of the Conchords, jokish kind of thing.
Right.
And the other thing is the fin des haricots, the French idioms, and so I sort of like it. Sort of break my brain in terms of the anti-perfectionism thing, because both of those things, like, I crafted the sort of the hell out of them both, and one of them is making me feel like, I should be funny, and all of my songs are so depressing. So like I should really go back to the drawing board and start writing stuff that's funny. But then I'm wondering, okay, but is that just like, am I just like prostituting for easy likes when my true soul wants to plumb the universe? But so it's sort of creating a,
well, yeah. I may be exactly the wrong person to weigh in on this because of the aforementioned conversation we just had about perfectionism and whatnot. This isn't really perfectionism, but this is like, maybe this is the opposite of what you're trying to do with TikTok. With that caveat, I would say that it seems dangerous. The TikTok part that seems dangerous is just like, let me put out something. Does the crowd like it? Okay, let me shift this way. Does the crowd like it? And, it's like every second album. Even in my humble experience, like do something, you do your first thing because it came from your brain and your heart, whatever, and people react really well to it. And it's impossible not to try to think about the crowd the second time you're doing something. It's like, well, I did that one and people really liked it. Let me do this that's sort of similar to it. Instead of just like, what am I feeling? What do I want to do? I think that's part of your genius and your gift is like you'll pull whatever the thing is. It could be something really moving and meaningful, or it could be something hilarious, or it could be something offbeat. And to me, that creates a much more complete picture of you as an interesting person and as an artist. Whereas like chasing the likes and the thumbs ups, I don't know. As I'm saying this, I'm doubting the advice, but I think that's how, like, even on YouTube, people go from like doing whatever they wanted to do to just like, oh, here's a formula that gets a lot of people to watch. I'll do a reaction video to a certain song, and then they become the reaction guys, or I'll start hawking equipment, people whose channels turns into them doing just like reviews of equipment because they get more likes and stuff. But like, did you want to be a equipment reviewer person? So I don't know. I like the idea that you would just be you, but you'd have to detox a little bit from the gauging your value by the number of likes. And I don't know if that's actually exactly the opposite of what this experiment is all about.
I think that that is, I really like the sound of that, but I do think that it's a little bit of like, you try a bunch of stuff, see what works. And then, just dealing with the fact that like, oh, I think I know maybe what would work, but I don't have 7 of those in the chamber. I like have one of those a year. So what do I do? So I think I have to do the approach that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I just don't, I'm all over the place, and I like that about myself, and I don't want to be the one thing guy.
No, exactly. And I think that to me, it's like you've got a container now. We've talked about how great a container is. But part of what's great about a container is you put whatever you want to put. You're an artist and you do something and you drop it into the container. And if that's the goal, then I think you're sort of empowered to do whatever the hell that comes to your brain, and people can pick what they like out of it, But if the goal is just like, let me drop something and did that do as good as the last thing? I just feel like that's gotta be freezing, stultifying, or it's going to take you down a road where maybe you didn't want to go in the first place, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you did, but I think,
that's great. That's
I think you let yourself shine. That's the, be you, man. So it's very, that's very profound. Be you.
The hardest advice you could ever give to somebody.
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Be yourself, but in public, and make videos where you are showing your authentic trueness. Just do that.
Well, I mean, think about,
but I get
like,
your
what
point.
if,
You're right.
What if actually you really could get tons of views by reviewing gear?
Yeah, no, of course. I just gave a class about the difference between data-driven and data-informed.
Oh, there you go.
This is the same concept.
There you go. All right, man.
Thank you.
Good chat.
Nice chat.
Talk to you.
Talk to you.